What's going on, guys, and welcome to another episode of the Hybrid Build. So I am in the middle of a 5-mile run right now, but in this video we are talking about 5 tips to gain weight for hard gainers. Now, I wouldn't necessarily consider myself a hard gainer, but I have lost a lot of weight and I've gained significant weight multiple times throughout my life. Like right here in this photo, this is me after Ranger School in 2014, and I was about 175 pounds, lost all my muscle and gained it all back with a few practices and protocols. So I'm going to discuss those in this video.
Yep.
Now, tip number 1 is to move your body. The reason I recommend to move your body is because it stimulates your appetite. Now, I'm sure the last thing you expected to hear when you clicked on a video talking about gaining weight was moving your body and running. And believe me, this used to be my thought process as well, where when I was in high school, when I was in college, I avoided cardio at all costs because I was trying to get as big as possible, and I thought it only had negative consequences. And if we've learned anything throughout the Hybrid Build series so far, bringing on experts like Thomas DeLauer and Dr. Lane Norton, we've seen in the research that running or cardiovascular training does not interfere with building muscle and improving your size and strength.
A more recent meta-analysis came out that showed aerobic conditioning did not appear to attenuate hypertrophy or strength. One of the limitations for building muscle is actually capillarization, so building more capillaries.
You are literally creating more area for red blood cells to travel, but you're also getting more oxygenation to a muscle and more ATP generation when you are actually lifting as well.
They were actually able to show that possibly doing some form of cardio may actually be beneficial for hypertrophy.
You talking to the hybrid athlete, I think it can only be advantageous to do more cardio, or in this case, running. I mean, if you are more fit, cardiovascularly fit, you're going to be able to recover faster.
I'm not saying let's go run a marathon and run 60, 70, 80 miles a week. Right now I'm running 20 miles a week, and over the last 6.5 months I've been able to gain 35 pounds. The reason I like to keep moving my body when I'm trying to put on size, that stimulates my appetite, where I can eat more, I can consume more calories. That's why I do it. That's why I'm still running 20 miles a week. Now, tip number 2 is that you have to eat enough. And it sounds pretty self-explanatory, and I'm sure as I'm saying those words, people are shaking their head.
What?
But I'm also pretty confident that there are a lot of people out there who think that they are eating more than they actually are. So here's my breakfast that I'm about to consume very quickly. I have 5 whole eggs, 2 slices of sourdough with raspberry jam, and then 1 banana. So let's eat this and then talk about it. There's 2 things that I wanna point out. 1, you have to identify your maintenance calories. How many calories do you need to consume on a daily basis to maintain your current weight? The second thing is we have to be honest with ourselves and realistic. Are we actually eating in a caloric surplus on a consistent basis? That comes down to tracking accurately. Now, we know that 1 pound equals 3,500 calories. So if we consume an additional 3,500 calories a week, that is in excess of 500 extra calories a day. We will gain 1 pound a week, considering everything else maintains constant. So I recommend downloading MyFitnessPal and tracking your calories, tracking the amounts. You might need to use measuring cups, you might need to use a food scale. The truth is you might not actually be eating a caloric surplus because you are estimating or you're not consistent. Make sure you are accurately tracking. Now, I didn't plan on this being one of the tips of this video, but creatine. You should be taking 5 grams of creatine every single day. Take your creatine. Now, this next tip is all about food selection. Choosing foods that are calorically dense based off of the volume, the amount of actual food you have to consume, and making smart decisions, especially the deeper you get into a build or a bulk. So obviously, if the goal is just to get in as many calories as possible, I could go eat crap food and get 10,000 calories easy. But the goal through this build is to get a lot of calories in while making smart, healthy food choices. One easy way for me that I incorporate multiple times into my diet to get more calories in: nut butters, almond butter, peanut butter. I'm personally a crunchy fan, and honey. I'll add to my sludge bowls, I'll add it to protein shakes, I'll add it to my toast. Those are some really good, easy ways to get more calories in. So this is a good comparison. In bananas, there's about 25 grams of carbohydrates per 100 grams of banana. In blueberries, there's about 15 grams of carbohydrates in 100 grams of blueberries. So the same weight, but different carbohydrate content per different products. So meat and protein is a really good example of this. For the same serving size, 4 ounces, ground beef, for example, has 17 grams of fat. Ground venison has 3 grams of fat. Ground turkey breast has 1.5 grams of fat. Choose a protein or a meat option that is more calorically dense in calories, and a lot of that comes from the fat content. So the last thing I want to talk about is vegetables. When I am going into a dieting phase and my calories are getting smaller and smaller and smaller, I'm eating more vegetables because you can eat a lot of volume and they're not calorically dense, so it'll fill me up and makes dieting easier. The opposite is almost true during a bulk where I'm trying to get more calories in. I'm not saying don't eat vegetables, but I will pull back on my vegetable consumption the deeper I get into a bulk or a build, because I want calorically dense food items so I'm not stuffed all the time. I'm still eating them during a bulk, but not as much. So as we're walking through Central Market to provide you guys some great examples of what we're talking about, what do we come across? BPN products in all of your Central Market grocery stores. Let's pick something up. Strawberry Way. You always can go with some strawberry protein. We also wanna make sure he's packing on some muscle, so we're gonna get always some creatine. Honestly, probably the best flavored product we've ever created are strawberry electrolytes.
Sweet, thank you, Merry Christmas.
I know you're building, so this will be perfect for you. Now, tip number 4 is all about your feeding structure. And I'll break that down, but we literally just left Central Market, picked up some food for this next meal. We have salmon from their hot bar and some basmati rice from their hot bar. This is going to be my next meal. But what I mean by your feeding structure, one, you can view it as your feeding window. This is why I don't fast, especially during a build, is because I want to allow as much time as possible to get all my calories in. So my first meal is either 6 or 7 a.m. My second meal is always around 10:30 a.m. My third meal is around 2 p.m. My fourth meal is between 6 and 7 p.m. And then my last meal is between 9 and 10 p.m. And I'm very consistent with that. So what happens with a lot of people, myself included, is there's just things that you have to show up for at certain times of the day. And if I don't plan for my meals the next day in terms of prepping food, prepping meals, and just being conscious of when I'm going to consume that meal around my schedule, you can very quickly fall behind in your caloric intake for the day. So make that feeding window as large as you have to, space out your meals and structure them accordingly to make sure you're hitting your caloric intake. I'm wearing this. What?
Or you can just throw a shirt on. That's fine.
I'll wear that.
Oh my God.
This doesn't show my arms either.
You're following the crowd right now, man.
I'll see you guys later.
So this is my favorite part about leg day. I always warm up with extensions and curls. So I'll do 5, 6 sets of extensions and then 5 or 6 sets of curls. My quads, my hamstrings just get absolutely pumped. There is so much blood moving into those muscles. By the time I go into barbell squats, I've already pre-exhausted my lower body. We are 6.5 months into the build. This has been a very interesting week. Strength is just skyrocketing. I feel like I'm maxing out all of the machines, or at least doing more weight than I previously was. Same thing applies to all my other lifts. I mean, we'll see what barbell squat looks like today, but I'm hitting that point in the build where strength has been steadily, very steadily increasing. But this past week, it's just like going nuts. And the last tip is that you have to put in the work. It's not one workout, it's not one meal. It is meal by meal, workout by workout, day by day, for a long period of time, because consistency compounds. You gotta do it for a long time. It is the process that gets you to where you wanna be. I hope that this video gave you guys some really strong insight on how to gain weight as a hard gainer. Like I said in the beginning of the video, I'm not necessarily a hard gainer, but that might be because I've been practicing these techniques and these protocols for years and years and years, and they've worked to put on size, to put on strength. And if you want it, you'll make it happen. But saying you can't gain weight because you're a hard gainer, that's an excuse in my opinion. Forearms are smoked, and it's leg day.